time to get plugged into a vintage show that's all about those old electronics that you remember and love. From phones to TVs to radios, we've come a long way with technology, but we still have a place in our hearts for some of the old stuff because we all know that they don't make them like they used to. Now, joining us to talk about all of the Vintage Electronics Expo at the Southfield Pavilion is Mark Oppett. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We're geeked.
I'm so geeked. I mean,
Yeah.
again, you know, with my radio being background, or my background being radio for the past 25 years, this is so cool to see.
Yeah, very cool. So this is the second year for the show. What can you tell us about it?
It's actually the second year at the Southfield Pavilion.
Okay.
We've had this show for over 20 years. We started doing shows around 1985. At that time, we were the Michigan Antique Radio Club, and we've morphed our shows into the Vintage Electronics Expo.
Okay.
And we outgrew our last location in Farmington Hills, and we are now in Southfield.
Oh, it's great when you grow that much.
Yeah,
It is.
so it's
So
over
let's-
20,000 square feet.
Okay.
It's impressive.
It's a
Very
big show.
impressive.
It's a
Let's
big
talk
show.
about some of the stuff you brought.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this piece
Right.
right here.
Okay, well, some of your viewers might be old enough to remember tubes.
Okay,
And
yep.
tubes were the things that amplified and worked in radios, and they plugged in, and you had to take them out and test them occasionally. That's a tube tester.
Okay.
And that's a piece of test equipment that we have at our shows. Here's some examples of some old tubes. These are very early ones. These are from the 1920s, and they were very large. They looked like hot air balloons. And they even sometimes came in colored glass. So very, very
Interesting.
cool.
Very cool. Now, do these items work?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, like pretty much all this stuff can be restored to work, almost all of it. The parts that go bad in them are called capacitors, and I've got a few old ones here to show you. These are examples of
Now, let's hold
very,
this steady for the camera.
yeah,
'Cause that's
they're
interesting.
very early parts, and then these are the little guys right here, and we have replacements for these now. They come in big bags. They're not expensive, but they come in bags like this. We buy them by the hundreds and thousands. But anyways, when you're done with it, you can have something that actually plays, and here's an example. So,
That's incredible.
Oh, that's good.
The sound is different,
Right,
right?
well, that's what I'm saying, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's this big resurgence with vintage sounds.
Yes.
You know, I mean, record players and
Record
vinyl
players.
have obviously.
we have one down on the
exploded.
end here we can
Let's take a
show
look
you.
at that.
Okay. This is an example of a 1950s record player, and these can be restored to work as well.
That's impressive.
And
So,
then this is a 1940 radio console.
I love that you have the labels up there on the
Yeah.
front from the different stations. Shout
Yes.
out to WJR.
Right
up
here,
there,
yeah.
Sister station. I
These
see
are
that.
push buttons, they're presets. And when you find this model radio, these buttons are always rotted. Early pre-war plastics were just unstable, and over the years they rot. These are replacements.
interesting.
So you can make it look like new and work like new.
This is cool. Now, what are these here?
These are little, what they call Panapets, it was the name of it, and they're made by Panasonic, and these are early 70s, and they started to do a lot with colors and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That almost looks like those could be coming back. You know, everything
Yeah.
old is new
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
People like their vintage looking stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the plastics were, this is 1938-ish right here, and the early plastics are all unstable and they'll crack and stuff, but they're colorful and they're pretty. They started coming out with colors in the late 30s, and this was actually made by a company called Detrola. It was right here in Detroit. These three items were all made by Detrola.
Look at that.
And they had, we think, maybe a couple thousand employees, and
Wow.
the factory was located near the bridge, where the bridge is.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I love, like you said, I love the look, and I do feel like the look is coming back.
Yeah.
Like those could all be wireless speakers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't second guess. Even this, like
Yes.
what's old is always coming back and being
Right.
new,
Right.
which is cool. So, what is behind the popularity? Would you say of vintage electronics? Come over here.
Yeah.
Like, we're friends.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be so.
Well, it's just that a lot of this stuff is in people's families. I'll turn this down a little bit. And so these things are coming out of families, estates, and such. So people a lot of times have that interest. But the thing about this hobby is you can collect for style or you can collect for performance or technology. So it's a wide-ranging thing, okay? everything from people who collect records and stuff, and they want to play them on the old machines that make it sound original.
Yeah, that sound is not the same. That's awesome.
Right,
That
right.
is awesome.
Now, here's the thing. These radios are mostly all AM, so they are, only AM, no FM. And this one here we've rigged up with an auxiliary input, so we can play music with a Bluetooth.
I mean, a
into
lot
it.
of these radios were around before FM radio was even a thing.
Yes,
Fascinating.
yes. Before World
Really
War II,
is.
you did not have FM.
Yep.
And I love how
Yeah.
you turn them into something because you're playing a CD
Yes.
through the.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I'm going to put the radio guy on the spot a little bit. If you had to pick just one, which one would you pick? Which radio?
Oh boy! Well, the one he has playing is gorgeous. I love the sound of it. But I'd probably go with the stand-up over there, just
Yeah.
to have in the corner of the
Yeah.
room.
The consoles are very
And
popular.
yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous looking for sure.
I was going to mention also, this radio is from Ann Arbor, a company called International Radio. It made a radio called the Cadet.
Look at all
And,
this.
it, and
We'll
it
stop
has
right in our own
has
backyards.
these little cadet guys right on the
Yep,
front.
absolutely.
This was a very cutting edge radio because at the time this radio was made, all the radios were the size of that wood radio right there.
That's
So to be able
amazing.
to
This
condense
was a
it and make it
very,
small.
very new
very
cutting
new
edge.
cutting edge thing. So there's
Yeah.
going to be all of this and so much more. Remind
Yes.
everyone about the location
Yes.
and where they can get more information.
Southfield Pavilion this Saturday, and it's from 9 to 4. Admission is just $5. You can come and look, enjoy what you see there. There's going to be like 50 different vendors, but they have multiple tables each, so the whole place is filled.
All right, so it's going to be all of this
A
and
lot
more.
of fun. And if people want to find out about something they have, they can bring a picture or they can bring a description or whatever they have, or bring the item in and we can tell them
Antique
all.
Roadshow radio style.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Love it.
exactly.
And by the way, a lot more in radio. We are a Big Ten organization, so vintage gaming devices,
Oh, so you got everything going
vintage
on.
computers, all these things now, and vintage audio is the biggest. It's
That's
the
it.
biggest thing right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being with
Mark,
us and
thank
bringing
you very
all of
much.
this
Yeah, thank
amazing
you.
stuff in.